I think the other thing is the disconnect with a lot of business owners is that they want to get so caught up in the logistics of what they do, and nobody gives a shit what you do. Right. So we tend to really harp on people about the features, but what are the benefits?
Oh my God,
How
absolutely.
are you going to change my life? And so I think that's the biggest problem is that so many businesses are regurgitating all the logistics and the features. And then the customer is like, but what do I get out of this? Like, what's in it for me? So as soon as you can figure out what it is that you do and do well and how you're going to solve their problems, all that other stuff doesn't matter because they will find you.
Is your business struggling right now? You might think that it's because you don't have enough sales. But the reality is, it's because you don't have the attention of the marketplace. This is attention equals dollars. You deserve more. Your business deserves more. And I'm here to teach you everything that I know on how to get the attention that you need and to turn that attention into dollars. Welcome to the Attention Equals Dollars podcast. I'm your host, Luke Nesler, and man, I'm excited. We've got another great episode. And that's what this podcast is all about. I bring you the experts, the people that have built successful businesses, successful brands, and we talk about one main thing. How do they get attention? How do they educate their audience members? How do they educate the marketplace on what they do, why they need their service, and how do they convert that attention into sales? I'm excited about my guest today, somebody that I've met from our dear friends, Steve and Hank, at 2 Market Media. My guest today is Amanda Gates. She is an advanced feng shui practitioner, and she's going to tell you exactly what that is. And the reason that I have Amanda on this show today is because what she does is very specific. It's very niched down, and it's a really, really specialized offering that, very honestly, a lot of people don't understand and don't realize that they need. So Amanda's job and how she's built her business, she's had to educate the marketplace. She's not only had to get the attention of those that need her service, she's had to educate them on why they need her service. So Amanda, first off, thank you for joining us today and welcome to the Attention Equals Dollars podcast. How are you today?
Great. I'm excited to be here.
Awesome. We're super excited to have you. And I think it's going to be an awesome episode because I've wanted to bring somebody on that is in a space that is much needed, but obviously something that might not be as well understood as some of the other spaces out there, because what you offer is something that really anybody and everybody needs. So before we get too far into it, I want you to explain, because I'm not going to do it justice. I want you to explain to my audience, what is an advanced feng shui practitioner and what do you help people do?
Well, in a nutshell, I basically help people get the vibe right in their environment to help accelerate and boost their goals, wishes, dreams in life. So typically what happens is you're not getting something in your life. You can't find the partner or, the love of your life. You can't get the money or make the money that you want. You can't get the career. Something is going on. And so what we tend to do is we look to external things. We buy the self-help books, we get the therapy, we get in fitness, and start working out. We start eating right, but our careers were still shitty. We can't find the love of our life, and we look awesome now because we're working out, or, we can't, get the money in. And so right. What I do is I get the environment right. And when the energy is right in your home, then that is what helps you attract and boost the things that you want in life.
So I love that, the environment and the energy. And that's obviously something that every single one of us, we all have around us day to day, regardless of if we own our own business, if we're struggling to find the love of our life, if we're struggling to pay the bills. Is this something that really everybody needs, or is it really just specific people need your expertise?
Well, you can probably enter 100 people and they all have a want, right? It's very rare that you talk to somebody and they're not striving for something, whether they're trying to get pregnant, find a partner, get more money. There are some people that need better health. That's where I come in. I can fix all of that.
So let's go back to the beginning. How did you get started doing what you're doing today? What led you to where we are today?
Well, it's a really funny story. I am a pre-med student, or was a pre-med student, and I was going to med school. I got a 4-year degree in biology. I know more about biochemistry than anybody should. And my then husband and I, we purchased a home and shit was just going wrong. And we were in the midst of remodeling it and we made it beautiful. And after everything was said and done, we had these beautiful chandeliers and granite countertops and all these beautiful finishes. I felt like shit and I couldn't figure out why. And so I went down to a Borders bookstore. Remember those?
Yeah.
And I'm looking at 5,000 decorating books. And I'm thinking in my mind, if I can just make this prettier, if I can just make it prettier, I will feel good and all will be right in the world. And so I call that putting lipstick on a pig. And this is where consumerism comes in. We buy and we buy and we buy because we're trying to fill a void. And the problem is the energy is off in your environment. Your instincts are picking up on that and you can't put your thumb on it. And that's what was happening to me. My front door was boarded up in my home because we had been remodeling. And so while I was standing in this Borders bookstore, this woman walked over to me and said, "Darling, you don't need those books. You need that book." And she pointed to this ominous F word. And I was like, "What the hell is that?" And I opened up the book and it was like angels were singing. And I was like, "Oh my God, this is what I need." And the rest is history.
Huh. But that's interesting though, because you said, I just, everything was there and I just felt like shit. But even though that lady pointed that book out, you went to the store looking for something to improve your environment. You thought you could make it look prettier. And even though it was slightly off, I don't know that would be the first place that people would look to where, man, I feel like shit. If I could just make my office, I feel like we're not doing as good as we could. If I could just make my office better. So it's almost like you had this natural gift for the environment, something with the environment. You knew you needed to improve it. And when did you go from that person looking for the book to you just went all in and became the expert? Take me down that road.
Yeah. So, that's a great point. Nobody's ever pointed that out to me, but yeah, I knew that something was wrong in my environment. I knew that it had to be something in my environment. And so when I opened up that first feng shui book, it was talking all about how when the energy is stagnant and stuck in your house, in your environment, that it's stuck and stagnant in your life. And so I think the benefit was that because I had this biology degree and I had been going down this scientific path, and I had a couple of years of physics and math and all this bullshit that, is complete wasted headspace now. But there was so much science behind the fact that when the energy is not right around you, we have a personal Wi-Fi. We have an emotional Wi-Fi system around our bodies, and our environment communicates with that. And so when things are wrong, what it's doing is triggering fight or flight. It's scientific. That's evolution. So when our fight or flight is triggered, it kicks in our adrenals, it kicks in the parasympathetic nervous system. We suddenly get stressed, and it's like all of this biology starts to kick in. Wow. So the feng shui, in a lot of ways, even though it's quite esoteric, it has a lot of science and a lot of good information behind it that makes good common sense. So as I started to read it, and because I had this scientific background, I was able to make sense of it. And I knew that this was the direction that I needed to go, because I thought, how many other people are out there striving for the answer in these external things and coming up empty? And I can help them get there faster. I can cut out a decade, 3 decades of their life by helping them get their environment right. So I dropped out of med school, signed up to the most prestigious interior design school, and my space planning instructor ended up being a grand master. And I was like, I'm where I'm supposed to be. And,
that's so cool. That's interesting that your own personal struggle led you to being the expert that you are today. And I resonate with that, because that's how, I got to where I am. My own personal struggle is what led me to being a digital marketing and social media expert, because, business was not good when we first started it. We were a web design and video production company, and we didn't have enough people coming to us. And I realized that social media was the key. It was the key to getting more attention on us. So it's interesting, because I talk to a lot of people that, the industry that they're in now, the expertise that they have now, didn't come about because of their own personal struggle. So I think that's that's unique and that's interesting that we share that in common. So did you essentially quit what you were doing? You went all in and you've started that business. You've been doing this for 20 years now. So is that really that I'm going all in? This is what I'm meant to do. And that's really what you did? Or was there another story to that?
No, I kind of have one speed and it's fast. So I just kind of dropped everything and signed up to the best school that I could find, and just kind of went balls to the walls and got educated. And I think the biggest thing is that I was so excited about it, and I was so excited to teach people about this information because it completely changed and transformed my life. When I started applying these principles to my own life, I could not believe how things were opening up and changing in my own life, but I started to hit a lot of resistance. People thought it was weird, especially once I moved to Nashville. I started to hit a lot of resistance. And so I only did it for my closest friends and family and neighbors. And that's where the beauty of, really following your passion or doing what you love to do, where your expertise is, shines. Because when I really pushed that side down, my business struggled. I didn't do well. When I stepped into my alignment and my true purpose, that's when we thrive. So it's, when you embrace what you're supposed to do and you embrace what your passion is, people can sense that, they know that. And that's where that following comes from.
Yeah, absolutely. So talk to me about, obviously, you'd said people thought it was weird, and really it was just a matter of they didn't understand it, which again, we share that. Now, I don't know that it's people think social media is weird. They don't understand it. There's this disconnect. There's a lot of cynicism toward it. Oh, it's the downfall of how we communicate today. Look at those poor kids sitting over there, not even talking to each other. There's misunderstanding of how it could and should be used to grow your business. So I understand exactly where you're coming from, to where it's not naturally accepted by the people that need it most. So how I've had to combat that is by educating the marketplace. Talk to me about that journey with you. And obviously you're working with our friends at Two Market Media, and they do a great job of helping people like us get clarity on how to communicate our message. But from the beginning, what are some of the things that you've done to, number one, get attention on yourself as the expert, but then educating people and letting them know it's not weird. It's actually something that can be extremely valuable in your life. What are some things you've done?
Well, I think the biggest thing was with Two Market is that Steve was the one that kind of wrapped it up in a nice little package and put a bow on it and was like, this makes perfect sense. You're doing design that's energy aligned. And I was like, oh my God, I love it. Like it made perfect sense.
He has a way about doing that.
Yeah. And so I think the other thing is the disconnect with a lot of business owners is that they want to get so caught up in the logistics of what they do, and nobody gives a shit what you do. Right. So we tend to really harp on people about the features, but what are the benefits?
Oh my God.
How
absolutely.
are you going to change my life? So you have to really sell the problem that you solve and not the service you offer. And so I think that's the biggest problem is that so many businesses are regurgitating all the logistics and the features. And then the customer is like, but what do I get out of this? Like, what's in it for me? So as soon as you can figure out what it is that you do and do well and how you're going to solve their problems, all that other stuff doesn't matter because they will find
Absolutely.
You.
I love that. Man, we are so aligned because I literally for a long time, but I've been pushing this message hard for the last several weeks. I don't care about your features. I don't care about the bells and whistles. I want to know what it's going to do for me when I implement it. And I tell my following, you need to future pace your audience. Let them know what life is going to look like 3 months, 6 months, 3 weeks, whatever, down the road after you implement what it is that I have to offer you. And I take it all the way back to car salesmen. I don't care about the heated steering wheel, the V8, and the remote start. Those are the features. The benefit is the V8 is going to get me to my meeting faster than hell. I'm not going to ever be late. The heated steering wheel and the remote start means I'm going to be comfortable at all times. If it's snowing, I live on the East Coast. If it's snowing, you don't have to worry about it. everything down to the smallest detail, you need to talk about the benefit of that feature instead of talking about the feature. Everybody's saying the same thing. The difference is, and you said it beautifully, tell them the problem that you solve, not the product that you offer. And I think that's perfect. We're complete agreement on that. So what are some of the things that you did to tell people, look, this is what life's going to look like. This is the problem, what I have, or this is the problem I can solve and what I have and how it's going to work.
I think one of the best things that you can do is get actual testimonials from actual people that you work with. And if you are just starting out, get them from your friends, your family, people that you know. But testimonials are one of the best ways because they are going to use language that a layman understands. I think that's another issue, is that a lot of people, when they are hammering people with their stupid features that nobody cares about, is they're also using industry terms that I don't know about and you don't know about. And we're like, what the hell are they talking about?
Yeah.
So if you can use testimonials from actual clients, that's one of the best selling things for us. That's been our breadwinner, is that we can share so-and-so just worked with us and she was struggling with infertility for 4 years. And we just got wind that she's pregnant. Wow. I just found out that Lori, who has been struggling with high blood pressure and hasn't been able to sleep, just got the first night's sleep in the last, year that she's ever, it's the best sleep she's ever had. So being able to take real people with real problems and showing how we solved them from their own words. And one of the best things we've been able to do is we've got, I've had a lot of my clients come on my podcast. So we're not putting words in their mouth. They're physically telling us what they have experienced by working with us and the results and the benefits that they've gotten from getting their environment right. So that's one of the best ways, because you're not just telling them, no, really, this is what you're going to experience. This is what's going to happen. This is the problem I'm going to solve. As soon as you can put, somebody real in front of them and they can say, oh my God, I struggle with insomnia. I can't get pregnant. I can't find the love of my life. And she got it. I want that too.
Yeah, I love that. So here's what I want to do. I want to go back over some of the stuff that Amanda just said and break it down, because there were a lot of nuggets that need to be unpacked more in there. So number one, you brought up something that I refer to, or we refer to in the marketing industry, as technobabble. The reason I'm great at selling what we do is because, yes, I understand the industry lingo. I understand what it's actually called, but I understand that you don't care, nor do you give two shits what it's actually called. You want to be able to easily be able to consume what I'm saying to you. So yes. I think it's something that, yes, I agree. You need testimonials. And I think it's a beautiful piece of advice that we use, that you as a listener or a watcher should use. You also have to understand that it is your responsibility and obligation to be able to communicate what you do effectively to the people that need it. And that means you can't go into the technobabble. So here's what I'm talking about. My chief marketing officer is a genius. He's one of the best guys at what he does in the country. But if he starts to talk to you and pitch you what we're doing, he even says, I'm speaking a different language. All right, I've got to bring myself back and speak human. So when I'm talking to somebody about marketing, I'm not going to use terms like remarketing, pixel tracking, spend. I'm going to talk to you about everything that you need to know in a way that you can understand it. How would you explain what you do to a 7th grader if you had to go speak to a class? So you can't just say, well, I'm going to bring people on that are testimonials and you still not get any better at explaining what you do in a way that myself or Amanda could understand. You have to get good at that. Secondly, yes, testimonials. It's amazing. And you actually said something that I want to start doing. You bring your clients on your podcast and tell them that's amazing. That's something that I haven't even thought of doing. Why do you do that? Let's talk about that.
I feel like you have to have, in today's day and age, you have to have a level of transparency. Yeah. So, the old days of going to a website and reading a bunch of testimonials, it's like, but how do I know that that's real? How do I know that this person isn't fluffing it or making them up, or, so you want to have a level of transparency. And again, you can't even begin to estimate what your potential client or customer is going to say and how they're going to word it and how they're going to resonate with the audience member that's out there that's listening, that's maybe struggling with the same thing that they're going through. They're going to be able to speak a language to them and immediately pick up on that. And they're going to sell better than any person in your team could ever sell. So I think that having somebody who has worked with you, knows how your process is, they're going to be able to not necessarily dumb it down, but they're going to be able to put it in their own language and really spin the benefit in a way that the audience is going to understand.
Yeah.
And I think that your point on the, explaining it to, I always say a fifth grader, but being able to explain it to a fifth grader, it's one of the, if you have either a fifth grader in your life, a niece, a nephew, a family member, a friend, a neighbor, if you've got somebody, you have to do this. I did this last year. I went and I spoke with a fourth grader actually, and told her what it was that I did, because I wanted to make sure that she understood. And what was interesting is there was a group of us, there was 7 of us that told this child what we did. And a year later, I was the only one that she remembered.
Really? Wow.
So she remembered me a year later. The mom asked her, of those 7 people, who do you remember? And she said, well, there was a girl named Amanda. And the reason she remembered me is I said, I'm the Harry Potter that goes into your home. And like a wizard, I get the energy right so that you feel better. And she remembered.
I love that. That is huge. And listen, I again, everybody watching this, anytime somebody gives a great piece of advice, there's usually multiple layers to that. That is absolutely massive. And I think it's a matter of, it's all a performance. I do a lot of public speaking, and I think that's why I'm great at that as well, because it's all about how you tell the story. It's a performance. So I've used examples that are similar to that, where nobody knows what remarketing truly is until I explain that, 70% of the people that visit your online store are going to leave before or without making a decision on that first touch. So the way to fix that is doing something called remarketing. And it's kind of like if you had an usher that somebody visits your store and then they leave, and that usher kind of follows them around and takes a look at what they're doing during their day and reminds them how much they need what you do. And then that usher brings them back in 2 or 3 days and rinses and repeats that process until that usher finally gets them to buy. So I've used stories like that as well. The more creative, the more artistic that you can get with them. And I think that wizard story that you told the 5th grader, there's no reason why you couldn't tell a 35-year-old that exact same story, because it's fun. It's easy to consume. And I knew before having you on, you were going to be really good at just naturally being able to market and storytell, because what you do is naturally something that people don't understand. So you have to be great. If you've done this for 20 years, you have to be great at breaking this down at a level that others can understand. Right. So I think that a lot of business owners struggle with that, to where they don't know how to explain fitness experts. What the hell is a macronutrient? I hear people talking about this all the time. Explain it to me in a way that I can understand. And Amanda, you're awesome at doing that. So I had a question I wanted to ask you, and what type of content do you create? So you had mentioned, I have my clients on my podcasts. I want you to give my audience, give us a couple of examples. What are some of the things that you do? Facebook Lives, podcasts? What are you doing on a daily or weekly basis?
I'm just going to be real with you. I'm a whore of social media.
Hey, you're talking my language. So, be real.
One of the things that I got started in originally was I started blogging. I feel that blogging is, for me anyways, it's a little bit dated because I've been doing it for over a decade, but I started just writing. And so it's a great way to really educate and teach people what it is that you do. And it helps you get a little bit more fluid with what it is that you do in a more consumer or consumable way. And it helps you also kind of navigate what exactly it is that you do, because your consumer will then, comment and be like, what the hell is this? What's a macronutrient? So you'll start to get a better understanding of what it is that they're asking for and what it is that they need. Because that's another thing, is a lot of times we go in one direction and we're selling a product that we think is fabulous, and it's not what the consumer wants.
Sure.
So that's a great way to have an interface of really getting to the truth of what does your audience need versus what you think they want.
Now, how long do you generally spend when you're creating your blogs? That's one of the pushbacks I get from a lot of folks is, I just don't have time. Blogging, I know I need to do a blog, but I don't have time. Number one, I don't think it should or needs to take you that much time. So you're a great example. How long, when you have an idea, does it take for you to get it from idea to a published blog?
Well, for me, it's a little bit more unique because I like it to be very pretty. I like to do a lot of visuals with it because I am a designer. But I've been writing on my blog for 9 years, and so for a while I was producing 3 to 4 blog posts a week. So, and I did that consistently for 6 years. So don't tell me about time. Exactly. And the thing is that some of the most brilliant ideas, you could be at the grocery store or at the gym or someplace, and somebody will say something or strike an inspiration that can be content. And so I think that's another misconception, is that I don't know what to write. I don't know what to talk about. Well, if you really pay attention, anything and everything in daily life can be incorporated into what you do. It could be an analogy, it could be a simple inspiration, and that can become a terrific micro topic. I've done entire micro topics around the energy around your front door, and that's very consumable. So you have to really figure out what works for you. And the thing is that when I got into blogging, blogs were like 800 words, and now you can get away with doing a blog that's, maybe 300 to 400 words. It doesn't have to be that much. Where I have found more success, and it's probably just because I'm bored of blogging, is I have started a YouTube channel. And so vlogging has become better for me because I can set up the camera and I can get out my inspiration much quicker. I can throw it into the editing program, throw in an intro, throw in an exit, close it up, put a bow on it, and throw it up on YouTube. And so now people can see me, and it gets back to that transparency. On a blog, it's very flat, like it's, very one-dimensional, whereas YouTube, they feel like you're talking to them. So I prefer that now.
When I get you, it's much easier to get a read on somebody's personality. Like, why I love you is because you're edgy. You're not afraid to curse, which, if it's, we fucking love curse words on this show. So that's fine. But I think I've naturally never been good at blogging because I'm so fast, and I'm not going to go back. I'm not going to proofread it. I'm not going to check it. I'm going to put it out. It's going to be packed with great content. It's also going to be packed with typos. I think one of the things that's great about what you just said is you found what works best for you, but you found it by doing. And I think that's a lot of people look for the perfect answer for them based off of what somebody else says. The only way you're going to find what works for you based off of what fits in your lifestyle and what best communicates your personality and your brand is by actually doing it. So you did a blog for 9 years, and now you've realized, number one, you can do them much shorter micro blogs, and you've realized that you can get your content, your personality across probably much more effectively and quicker by using video as your medium. And you also talked to me about your podcast. Why have you started that, and what have you seen from podcasting?
Well, I agree with you. I think done is better than perfect. I think a lot of people always wait for the right time, and it's not the right time, and it's going to be the right time before I do that. And we'll do that next week. And so it's never going to be perfect. Just build the freaking plane while you're flying it. And you got to try it. Like, if you had asked me 10 years ago, if I was a writer, I would have said, absolutely not. I have terrible grammar. And I don't proofread, and I don't know how to do this. And so once you start doing it, you realize you absolutely have a voice, and you do have a lot to say. So I would suggest that everybody try it. Even if you're only getting one blog up a week, I mean, it's very important to be able to not have that one-dimensional dead website where nothing is going on, and the copyright at the bottom still says 2013 copyright, right? But I think that, the real truth, the reason why I started the podcast, and my podcast is very old. I started it in 2011. I actually started it in 2010, but I couldn't figure out all the technology. It took me about a year to figure out all the parts and pieces of it. But I started the podcast because there were people in my industry that I admired, and there were people that were close to my industry that I admired, and I didn't want to just throw them a stupid email like, hey, I'm a fan. So what the podcast did is it gave me leverage to reach out to people and say, I'm a huge fan of yours. I have this fantastic podcast with all of these amazing audience, and that audience members that want to hear what you have to say. I would love to have you on. How about we get that set up? And so nobody ever told me no.
Agreed.
So, it was really great, especially as it continued to grow and as it got bigger, to be able to, and now with 2Market really behind it, the momentum has gotten huge, and now it's become a big, massive show. But it's so great to now be able to reach out to big names that are huge influencers and be like,
Yes.
can you come on my podcast? And not only are they saying yes, but they're like, I just wrote a book. We're going to send you a free copy. We're going to send you this. Like, they're giving us stuff to really try out their products. And so, if you had told me that 10 years ago, I would be like, you're crazy.
It's understanding how to really work the system, and the system being online podcast. And Aaron, our director, can attest to this. Just before you came on air, I did an Instagram story and I said, hey, we're filming the second podcast of the day. Here's the reason I do podcasts. The reason is, number one, yes, it positions me as an expert, but it allows me to meet and build relationships with new people that some of those people we'll do business with. And those that we don't, they now know me and they introduce me to people that we'll do business with. So I think that's something that a lot of people are so short-sighted that they're like, well, number one, why am I going to do a podcast? Well, here's the best reason. Do you have people that you want to do business with? Well, yeah, awesome. Do a podcast, invite them on, and start a relationship. It's a relationship building tool. Before I did podcasting, we've always had video shows, and I did expert interviews, and I would use it for that reason. And that's how we've gotten some of the biggest clients that we've had. I've had them on my show. So I love that. I don't know if anybody's ever told you this, or if you've realized that, because you probably haven't talked about your marketing this much until now, but you're just naturally a skilled marketer. I mean, if you ever get tired of doing what you're doing, you absolutely could start a marketing consultancy, because everything you've said, I'm over here nodding my head along. It's spot on as far as the organic side and just naturally being able to create great content. Talk to me about your paid advertising. Do you do any type of Facebook advertising, YouTube advertising, Instagram? And you're shaking your head no. Tell me why not, and have you ever considered it? Where are you with that?
We have tried it in the past. When we go through a big launch, we would do it. But I have found that it's really the Gary Vaynerchuk approach, where it's the give, the jab, 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 right hook, or we call it the give, give, give. And, we do about 85% free and 15%, paid. And I really, especially the kind of work that I do, I really feel like to transform humanity and to really serve and to give back. There are people out there that just cannot afford us. And so I need to be able to educate them, because if they have the right information and can apply this information, I could transform their life, whether they're willing to pay me or not. So that's the other thing, is that I feel like a lot of people say no and have resistance to the blogging and the podcast, and because their fear is that, oh, but I'm going to give it all away and then nobody's going to hire me. They don't look at it as, I'm going to be seen as the expert.
Absolutely.
And the people who are going to hire you don't want to learn it. They don't have the time to learn it, Absolutely. So I think that for us, the blog was always huge. It really created, that's what really built our tribe, because I had a voice that resonated with people. They understood what we were doing and we were teaching them. So whenever you have whatever it is that you do, when you are empowering your audience to create transformation and giving them results in their own life, you are empowering them to change their life. When they get results like that are kick-ass, that lights them up, and I call it above the cross emotions. When you can put them there, they are going to be a fan for life.
I love that.
Take care of your audience and nurture them and give to them. And if you do that, you build up that tribe and they will say yes to anything and everything that you put out there. And to me, that doesn't have to be paid for.
I love it. No, I agree with you. God, everything you say, I'm in such agreement. I hope that one day we're in the same place at the same time at a conference or whatever it is, because I'd love to just dive in deep on this, because you're just naturally good at marketing. One of the things, and I'd like to come back and yes, I agree with you, but so what we do as a company, we specialize in the paid side of it. Now we do the organic, the podcasting, the blogging, we do all of that because it works. But where people miss the mark with the paid advertising side of things, and where I would love to see you implement some of this as well, is understanding, number one, these platforms, to get the most out of them, they're a pay to play environment. So if you're reaching 100,000 people a month, you can reach 1 million people a month, add these people to your audience. And then those that know how to do it well are those that understand that it can't just be an advertisement. That's where people make the mistake. I'm targeting this person, people that like this, and then they deliver their call to action directly to them. Well, they don't know you, they don't like you, they don't trust you yet. Yeah. But what if you could add those people into your tribe and introduce them to your content, and only those that are the most engaged get a deeper look, and then a deeper look, and then a deeper look. And now all of a sudden your raving fans have gone from 12,000 to 1.2 million. And you've got this massive following that you've introduced yourself to because of paid advertising. That's the true way. And we've done it with people like Monero. We've done it with Hank Norman. We've done it with us. That's how you get attention and turn it into dollars. It's not by saying, here's my ad, I'm going to target it to these people. It's understanding that it is a content marketing roadmap, or what we call a story arc. So it's taking this, where we started this podcast, your story of, I felt like shit, I went to the store to look for a book on how to make this place look pretty, all the way to how you're helping people, get pregnant, how you're helping people have a better night's sleep, how you're helping people with successful businesses. That can't all be told in one ad. It needs to be a story. One of the things that we've done is we have essentially a documentary, an online reality show called Inside Impact, and it shows our process, our story. You get an inside look at it. What that's done, we've added a lot of people to our tribe that are now following me, and we've gotten clients from it. And literally that is a new series. It's 4 or 5 episodes in. So it's something that what you've done so far in 20 years is amazing. I've got a page and a half full of notes. If you were to get a grasp and an understanding on paid advertising, I'd love to have a conversation with you again 12 months from now on the same podcast, because I know it could elevate what you're doing, because you are really skilled at marketing. It's just finding the right way to use paid advertising, because the message you have just needs to be heard or seen by more people. And I think that could do it for you. So something to consider for sure. Amanda, where can people find your content? I have not checked out your YouTube channel. I've listened to the podcast. I've seen the blog. Tell my audience where they can get more of what you're doing, because I want them to be able to see it.
Yeah, so the best thing is really the podcast, which is Home Energy Design. It's on Stitcher and it's also on iTunes. It's very educational. I have a lot of really great guests on there, but I also teach how to implement feng shui in your own home, how to read your own floor plan, what to look for. And I also have clients on there so that you can hear directly the results and the experiences that they're having. My website, which is gatesinteriordesign.com, bunch of information on that. The YouTube channel is under Amanda Gates. And then of course I'm everywhere else: Instagram, Snapchat, Twitter, Facebook, all of those. If you type in Amanda Gates, I'm all over Google.
I love it. I love it. Definitely go follow Amanda. Number one, she can help each and every one of you. But number two, I tell you about with myself to do the same. Watch what I do more so than what I say. And Amanda's a prime example. Consume her content. Let her be your guiding light when it comes to feng shui and improving your life. But watch how she promotes what she does. Watch how she has the narrative around what she does and takes a topic that you might think is confusing and brings it down to a level to where it makes perfect sense. Because everything that she has said today, you've seen me nodding my head, or if you're listening, I've been nodding my head. she's spot on. So watch what she's doing. Podcast is amazing. It's a great example of what you should be doing to market your business as well. And listen, if you got value out of today's episode, the way that you can help me help you, because again, we don't charge for this and I want to help more people, on iTunes, rate, review, subscribe, and send this to somebody that you think it could help. If you're following me on Facebook, share this out, comment, like us, send us feedback. YouTube, subscribe to the channel, send a link out to this episode to somebody that you think it can help, because we want to help more people. And I bring my expert friends, folks like Amanda, experts like Amanda, where they can tell you about what they do, but more importantly, how they've built their business. And man, you've been probably one of my favorite episodes, because I did not expect to have this educated of a marketing conversation with you, and you're crushing it. So I really appreciate you being on, and I'm looking forward to having more conversations with you, and we definitely need to do something together.
All right. Well, thanks for having me on. It was great talking with you, and I hope that the audience has gotten lots of really great stuff from this and is going to implement it.
Yeah, no, they did. Yours is, you've given them so many actionable tips that it's ridiculous. So we should have charged money for this episode. Awesome. Hey, Amanda, it's been a pleasure. Thank you so much for coming on, and we'll be in touch very soon.
Thanks.
Is your business struggling right now? You might think that it's because you don't have enough sales. But the reality is, it's because you don't have the attention of the marketplace. This is attention equals dollars. You deserve more. Your business deserves more. And I'm here to teach you everything that I know on how to get the attention that you need and to turn that attention into dollars.